Hey everybody, we are out here once again on Pretty Boy Reservoir, but today we are heading all the way up into Georges Creek. I'm going to follow the creek all the way up until I can't go any further. It turns into a real shallow creek bed with sand, and there's a place where I could portage over that, only a few feet. The word portage makes it sound a little more dramatic than it really is. But if I did that, I would not be able to go too much further, maybe another 200, 300 feet, something like that. So we're probably not going to go all the way up Georges Creek until I can go no further. But we're going to go up to that first little spot where it's difficult to get past, or whatever we find when we get up there. Honestly, I haven't been there yet this year. So we're going to find out, and we're going to find out together. But right now, I'm taking a little break. It is a beautiful little cove I've tucked myself into. There's a little stream flowing in behind me, and I just wanted to get a little look at this before we get underway again. In fact, we are going to start paddling on out of here so you can see all the scenery as we go past. And then once we get further up into Georges Creek, which is still about a mile from where we are now, I will switch over to the head cam, and we'll be able to get some more scenic views from my point of view paddling up into the creek proper. Whereas right now, even though we're well up into Georges Creek, once we get out of this little cove area, it's going to still seem like I'm pretty much in any other part of the reservoir, just big wide open expanses of water with trees all around. I know I often forget, to me, I sort of know where I am by looking around at the landscape and different landmarks and stuff. But to the casual viewer who's just seeing my videos, it all looks the same to you, I'm sure. So for all you know, we could be right around the corner from the boat launch, but we are not. We are about 3.5 miles from the boat launch at this point. And again, we are well up into Georges Creek. So we're just gonna, again, paddle our way on out of this little cove area that I'm in and get back out into the main channel. And then I'll see you up a mile or so upriver, upstream, however you want to say that, and we'll start getting a look at the creek proper. So this is one of the little points of land. It's got a trail that comes down to it from the road. I honestly have no idea how to actually get to this particular point of rock right here, but clearly a lot of people do. It is well worn, and I can see the trail going right up on the hill. So there must be some place up there to park and then just walk straight down here and get to that. So that's it. That was the little nook I was hiding in, and now you get a little better look at the broader expanse of what I was talking about. So now we are back into the main channel of Georges Creek, and we're heading upstream. So once again, in about a mile from here, when it starts to look a little more like a creek and a little less like a reservoir, I will catch back up with you, but we will be on the head cam by then. All right, everybody, we are well up into Georges Creek now, and while we are still in a fairly wide open place, we're getting to where it's beginning to narrow. In fact, when I come into Georges Creek on foot, I walk down either side of the river, and there's a trail that brings me down this way, and there's a trail that brings me around this way, all the way around this cove. So I fish all of this area on foot, just from walking in from the bridge that crosses over. It's actually Georges Creek Road, and Georges Creek Bridge is where I park and walk in. So we'll get up to within just about sight of the bridge. And once we round this bend here, it will start looking much, much more like a narrow river than a wide open reservoir. Although I gotta say, we're getting close. And if you see how muddy the water is, that's because it's fairly shallow and it's kind of warm. It doesn't move a lot up here, and so the carp come up here. In fact, if you see these splashes on the surface, occasionally you'll see fish come up out of the water. That's all carp back here, and that's what's got this water all muddied up. It's one of the effects of carp, and why invasive carp are bad for an environment. They really do disturb a lot of silt, and they root up and disturb a lot of vegetation. But there you go, there's a million carp in here. There's nothing we can do about it now. All right, I see a blue heron stalking some fish up in the shallows over here, so we'll try to stay in close to the shore. I'll be quiet for a minute. Oh, we just got one. Now he's aware of me. There he goes. If we're lucky, we might get to see some of the bald eagles today. There's a mated pair of them that lives up here, somewhere around here. This area is usually where I see them. It's always up in the Georges Creek area, and it's usually through this stretch that I'll see them. Excuse me. Alright, so this is just shallows off to our right here. Let's get back over to where the actual channel is. Eventually we'll get to a point where there's actual flowing current, and we'll have to paddle sort of upstream a little bit. It won't be a lot of current, but we will be in what I promise you will look like a stream here in the next 10 minutes or so. I saw some flag lilies blooming. They were the only ones I've seen blooming so far, so if we look around, hopefully we'll get lucky. We'll see some more of those blooming. And there's some kind of flowering bush that's in bloom right now. I don't know what it is, but it smells amazing. The privet is in bloom, but that doesn't smell like anything. And it's not particularly attractive even. But there's some other bush out here. It's not particularly showy. It just has sort of bushy white flowers on it. And when the breeze is just right, you can smell it a half a mile away. It's amazing. So we're gonna make our way over to this side. I see an azalea in bloom hanging out over the water, so we're gonna check that out on our way past. Wow, look at it all. It goes all the way up into the woods. It's definitely passing its prime. We got a couple of days of azalea left and then it's over. Well, that's a pretty one too. That's the one that is just, it's a really dense bushy. It looks like a cluster of azalea flowers on each one. It's awesome. All right, let's get to it. So just up here on our left is a shallow bay that only fills when the reservoir is near full. The little opening, or we'll call it the mouth of the bay, when the reservoir is completely full, it's only about 1.5 feet to maybe, I don't know, 2 feet deep at the most. So if the water level goes down at all, it blocks that body of water off, and then it just evaporates away and it just leaves it as a mud flat. So it's only a temporary bay, and it's very, very shallow. So we will be moving past that and following on up around the river. But it's often a good spot to see wading birds as we go past. So I will be looking to my left as we go past there. And we'll look in and see if we can't try to spot some wading birds. And once again, I'll keep my yap shut for a few moments. And we got some geese up here on our right, but seeing Canada geese is not exactly exciting. That goes an osprey. That's not the eagle. You can see the bottom right there. All I see over there so far is geese. Yeah, there's a few geese in there, and that's about it. I've never actually tried paddling in there and paddling around in it. There's a couple little sandpipers running along the shore. And a bunch of cattails, but no wading birds. Now, I saw that osprey bank back around and come back into the trees up here somewhere, so we might see that again. Now this little area up here, just upstream of where this little feeder stream flows in, that's an area that the county usually comes in and mows. There's actually a big enough trail that comes in off the main walking trail that you can come in with mowers, and they clear this little area out, and it's always a nice little spot to come and hang out by the water. When I take a short walk, if I'm just coming out for a brisk little brief walk down into the woods, that's usually the area I come to and turn around. But by late summer, it'll be surrounded by Joe Pye weed. There'll be butterflies everywhere. Daylilies will be blooming. It's a really nice looking place to hang out come later in the summer. So I call that the picnic area. So keep that in mind if you're a regular viewer. We will be back this way again, either on foot or coming up through here on kayak again. And that is one of the little landmarks I always point out when I come through here. So And hopefully you'll get to see that in late summer with all the butterflies and everything around all the Joe Pye weed. So at this point, it would not be unlikely to see somebody walking down along the side of the river or something. We might be saying hello to somebody at some point. I've seen quite a few people out fishing along the shoreline on my way up this far. It smells so good out here. I swear, every time I smell that amazing smell, I always see all these sort of blooming privet bushes. But I've gone up to those privet bushes on a couple occasions now and stuck my nose in them, and that is not what I'm smelling. And it doesn't really seem to have much of a smell at all. So whatever it is, I think it's those trees with the white flowers on them, but I don't see any of them around. Which doesn't necessarily mean anything. As I said, they are fragrant. They could be quite a ways upstream, and we can just smell that fragrance on the breeze. See all these sort of pale bushes with these nondescript pale flowers on them. That's all the privet. And there's a lot of it out here, but it is not what I'm smelling. There's a couple of wood ducks I just scared away. We're lucky today. The water's full, or the reservoir's full. The water's high. We shouldn't have too much trouble. Again, I haven't been up here yet this year, and when we get a little bit further up, I assure you we will be paddling into some kind of gentle current, and it will feel much more like a stream. Then I know this kind of almost feels like I'm paddling through a canal at this point. It's still pretty much still water, but this is just, again, once we get above the height of the dam, we'll actually be into flowing water again, and we're not far from being there. But every year it's different. Depends on the storms we've had over the winter, and where the trees have fallen and diverted the water. So we shall see how far we can get once we get up here. I think when I paddle out, I'm going to put the camera on the dashboard and just let it roll while I quietly paddle out, and I'll do just a paddling video without any commentary. I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's the trail right there along the water's edge. You can even see deer actually used right there to come and go. Last time I came through here, I had to stay over on this side. This was so shallow, I'd have been dragging my bottom in the sand. So we are good to go today. We can just paddle on up here like nothing. We might be able to get all the way up to where I said it turns into like some shallow rapids with, a couple inches deep, just bubbling over some sand and gravel and stuff. And again, if I go past that, I can go a little bit further, but it's not really worth it. So we'll stop right there if we can get that far, but it certainly seems like we're going to be able to get that far today. It's just up around the bend here. This feels like, you know, still water. I don't want to say stagnant water, but it feels like still water right up until it's not. We'll get around the bend and suddenly you'll realize we're in a stream. And there's somebody fishing along the shoreline, so that's going to be the end of the line. I'm not going to paddle past this guy fishing. Honestly, he's standing about as far as where I thought we'd be able to go. I didn't think we'd be able to go that far. Well, let's see what happens when we get up here. Maybe he'll let us go through. Wow, last time, this right here is the sandy, gravelly area that I was expecting us to have to get out and walk over. I thought this was going to be shallow rapids. And it is. All right. All right, everybody, 20 minutes, not too bad. I thought it would take us longer than that to get all the way up here. So where we bottomed out was about where I thought we were going to have like rippling, splashing, you know, we'll call it rapids, but again, you know, just sort of like babbling over the rocks there. And yet the water is deep enough that I mean, the reservoir must be absolutely full. I've never been able to paddle up into that without getting stuck, and if we'd have taken the right little track through there, I think we might even have been able to make it all the way up and gone past where that guy's fishing. So anyway, that's about as far as we can go. So I hope you enjoyed your little trip up into George's Creek with me. That's all we're going to do for today. Again, the paddle back out might be a different video, but make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss that or anything else. So thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.